Welcome to The New Next, a podcast that addresses current events and how they will impact the future. Co-hosted by the inquisitive public speaking champion, Mike McVeigh, and energy, economics, and technology expert, Matt Jensen. Join us as we explore all things energy, economic, tech, and political, and how they will affect our future. Your rest of your story, at least. You said that we were talking about how used to, if you had all the I's, and then used to, that's the last thing I heard.
Oh, yeah. So, like, if you used to have, like, an internet sort of site when the internet wasn't really a big thing back then, you could buy traditional advertising on, you know, the nightly news or something like that, knowing that you kind of have a captive audience for people watching media at that point.
Right.
But now it's just so different in how you target individuals. And you can be pretty detailed at that, but you know, the cost has been stripped out for a lot of this stuff. So there's not like a barrier to entry like there used to be back in the day.
Yeah, I know from watching movies in particular, TV shows, that a lot of the directors, that ones that became, or at least names that you would probably recognize, a lot of them, like Kevin Smith, M. Night Shyamalan, stuff like that. But one of the things they had an advantage of is that their parents bought a video camera, you know, when they were like $5,000, $10,000.
Totally.
And even, what was it? There's a, oh goodness. There's another one that was coming to my mind, but it's like, basically they had, Bill Gates, because he grew up in a community, what is it? The Tipping Point? No, Malcolm Gladwell talks about it in one of his books, where Bill Gates probably still would have been a phenomenal person no matter what, but it didn't hurt that the high school he was going to was one of the first places that had a computer lab where they actually got to test stuff. And so he actually had more programming experience in high school than most people who had college degrees in computer programming because of how many hours he spent there. So definitely having the access has changed the world. Now you don't even, I mean, heck, we've had it since flip phones, let alone the better technology ones since then. You can get a TikTok device and, you know, TikTok, Facebook Live, Snapchat, Instagram, all these little platforms that, you know, if you have content, or even if you don't have content, if you just have something that's distracting enough, you can be an influencer. Which is still hard for me to say as a job, but
so Aaron a while ago, like, asked a question about what we thought about that BeReal app, and I had not even heard about that. But have you heard about that?
I don't remember that question.
Yeah, so he sent in a question, and it was just our thoughts on BeReal, the app. Have you been exposed to that at all?
I don't think so. I'm going to look it up real quick. So I don't even remember that question, but I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like, I think the number one downloaded app now in the app stores, Google Play and Apple.
Huh.
But they basically, it's Instagram without the filters. And you're supposed to just post stuff how it is. And it became super popular.
Okay, so just for the record, I'm going to give my comments on this, but I would like to mention all the things I've given my comments on before that I've not been completely far off in the long run, including NFTs, Bitcoin. I think this is stupid. I remember when there was a big hashtag no filter on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm like, how much time do you, I mean, yes, I definitely have doctored photos and stuff, like for various reasons, but I would say 80% of the photographs I post are not, they don't even go through a enhance filter.
Yeah.
So it cracks me up that people are like, oh, I'm going to do a real filter. I'm like, the closest thing I could say that I don't do, but partly is just the way, I mean, is I don't have the camera far enough, because I feel like if all you see is my neckline and above, you might actually think I'm a thin guy or like a little slightly overweight, but then you kind of get to the shoulders. It's like, oh, okay, he's kind of big. And then you go further. It's like, oh my goodness, you got the human blob. That's what I feel like. Whether that's accurate or not, no one has to say or no, but that's like the closest thing that I can think of that's not a true BeReal.
Yeah, I think like with some of these apps, there's a lot of difficulty sometimes because, you know, you're kind of balancing like how do you maximize the dollars out of these people without pissing everybody else off and driving them to another app. So usually there's just a right place at the right time. So I think, you know, some of the other stuff, like Rumble, for instance, as a competitor to YouTube, right? I
guess I've never heard of it.
There's a bunch of these other alternate platforms where, you know, users will go in a moment of time. And, you know, with this like BeReal stuff, like they don't really need to steal, excuse me. They don't need to steal that many users to make it like highly profitable.
Yeah.
So it's just it's cutthroat out there.
Well, that's one of the things that's always kind of, and I definitely don't understand the math on it, but they said there's something out there that said if Facebook would charge everybody a one-time fee to use Facebook for the, it would end up being like maybe somewhere like $8 total. And, like that's how much like it, Facebook would be making similar money or something. I don't remember what it was something, but and I didn't understand how the math worked because I'm like, but if there's only 1 million users, you're only making $8 million.
There's like 3 billion. So,
well, no, I'm saying like, yeah, but if there's, but if there was 1 million users, then you're limited to $8 million of the direct income from the thing, but that would be to have ad-free Facebook and stuff. And I've never quite understood like how these games that cost $1 or something, $2 on the thing. I'm thinking, how many people actually download this, and then how many people are spending money? And then I look at that and I'm like, oh yeah, there was one game where I did end up spending like $30 total for this really crappy game because I wanted to win, and then I thought I won just to find out there's another level. I guess that's kind of probably one of the things that's really changed in the past 40 years is the idea of subscription or pay to play. Mm-hmm. Like I think if D&D would have been invented today, very few people would get past level 1. Well, I mean, there'd be hardcore people that would do it, obviously, but most people would just pay for the full gear set to have all the things that are nice and everything.
Yeah, and I don't really game so anymore. So I have my old school memories of it, but
well, isn't that special?
Reminisce.
Yeah, I guess subscriptions would be kind of really the thing that I always thought subscriptions were like the coolest idea of making money. But I don't like the companies that do everything possible to keep you from unsubscribing. But where you pay like $2 a month and you get access to blank, then it puts the onus on the person to unsubscribe. And most of the time, it shouldn't be that difficult. Like, there's a car wash thing that for $10 a month for the first 3 months, you can get unlimited car washes. But then after the third month, it's $40 a month.
Huh.
And the car washes generally cost $15 for the high end ones that you can get for $10 a month. So as soon as the third month started, on the first day, I unsubscribed from it. So I paid less for 3 months than what I would have for the first full month. And just getting 2 or 3 car washes, you pay for way over what the rate is. But I guess there's some people, it's the gym membership fallacy or whatever, where you join the gym on a monthly contract and you can break it at any time, but you forget about it.
Yeah.
Or you just don't go to the gym, but you don't want to admit that you don't go to the gym, so you keep the contract. That's actually one of the things that bothers me about Microsoft Office now, and some programs like that, is there's a subscription now where you pay, $14 a month or $120 a year. I'm like, what happened to where I could just buy the program for my computer? And as long as my computer's alive, that's all I have to pay. I don't have to pay a new fee every single year.
I like think that you can.
Yeah, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
So even my method fails me.
Yeah, the whole subscription thing's kind of interesting. Like, it makes, that's part of my business too. And it makes total sense because you're kind of getting paid for your ongoing maintenance and just getting utilized is important. So as many sales as possible.
And speaking of that, if you would like to sponsor our podcast, you can just send me a check as often as you want. If you don't have checks, I do take Venmo, Cash App. Just send me money. Don't put anything about the show. Just put it to Mike McVeigh, because I don't want Matt to get any of it.
Yeah,
you can subscribe every day. Just give me $1 a day. I'm happy with that. Think that that's only $7 a week. That's more times than not less than $35 a month. I have thought of this idea. I'm afraid to announce this out loud on the podcast in one sense, because someone might steal it, but I've generally found that the people who have awesome ideas, that even if they say something, it will probably won't affect my bottom line. But I always thought, I was curious if I had something similar to what I just said, $1 a day, but I would send you a message of encouragement or deep thought every day. And I wouldn't even pretend like, oh, it's personalized to you, Matt. If 5 people sent me that, I would send them all the exact same thing. And $365 for a year is. And
you're at the end of the email, you're like, send this to 5 more people, otherwise have bad luck for 6 months.
Well, no, because I wouldn't say that, because then I would lose out on the $5 that I sent to you. But I also, and I guess I've subscribed to some of those things. I know we were originally talking about like the differences, but this is one of the things. Because before you would have to pay a high quality money for audio tapes from a conference or something. There was no internet that you could just pay $5 to download material. There weren't Napsters. There were bootlegs and stuff, but they weren't as common. You could buy a book. Now, like, I'll subscribe to something, and if I see something good, I just put it in my save folder, or I'll copy it. I'll always give credit to the person that I got it from, but all the knowledge that's just freely given, or for a very small fee. And I'm just like, what? And I know that there's somebody out there. I know there's somebody out there that's doing the exact thing I said, of where for like $1 a day or $5 a week, they'll give you a daily inspiration or something.
Yeah, I'm sure it's there.
So if you want that from me, I'll just say, hey, you're cool. Go ahead and give me that $5 for this week. Just listen to this 5 more times this week. And I don't know. It's just a weird world. The values and principles we had when you and I were kids, and now we're in a world where you have to literally make an app to say, don't put any special filters on your camera.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And I mean, I remember in high school, for my birthday one year, my parents decided to give me a phone line into my room with a phone. And it was all fancy and stuff because it had star 67, star 69. It had voicemail. Oh,
wow.
I had my own voicemail. No one ever called my phone.
Huh.
I hardly ever talked on the phone, but I had my own phone line. And like the total price of all that was like maybe an additional $20 a month or something. And now no one has a landline almost at all, let alone in their own room. But kids have these high-tech computers that are super powerful.
Yeah.
And like, and I don't want to pick on my daughter too much, but just a little bit. She literally has she had the capability, even now. I installed LinkedIn Learning on her phone, and I was going to let her use my work account.
Yeah.
And she could learn like something that she wanted to do. She took a lesson and then she hasn't done it again in 2 years. I'm like, but you're getting all this information. You could literally go and use this to, get scholarships or, whatever. And she's like, yeah, it's nice. And then she's watching whatever the next thing is on YouTube or Disney Plus or something on her phone in her room.
Why don't these kids just want to learn all the time?
I won't lie. I was adamant about that kind of stuff. I was groundbreaking in 8th grade. I had a cassette recorder, and because I really sucked at science, I read the whole chapter and I recorded myself reading it, and then I would play it back 2 or 3 times to try to do a little bit kind of osmosis listening. Or instead of listening to CD or a cassette, I'm going to sleep, I'd listen to myself read back the chapter.
Yeah.
And then I would high speed dub it. So it would actually repeat it after I finished a chapter. It would start me over with the chapter. So It was on a repeat. So I think honestly, I would have gotten into the technology that's available now for pennies on the dollars back when I was in high school. Just to learn it, not necessarily for grades or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Times have definitely changed since we were we lads growing up in the personal computer age.
Personal computer.
And now
what are you talking about, you youngin'?
If you would like to learn more about the New Next podcast, find us at thenewnextpodcast.com, where you can suggest a topic you would like for us to cover. If you enjoyed what you heard, share the podcast, tell a friend about it, or rate us with 5 stars.